All right, so welcome to today's version, June 11th, of the weekly webinar that's now gone bi-weekly. So today we are going to talk about improv with Helene Angley, Tracy Locke, and Chip Ambroglio. Or Ambrosio? Chip, help me out. I mispronounced your name, I know.
That's okay. Ambrosio, just like
Ambrosio. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
Good, we've got that. They are all part of Productively Funny LLC and have extensive backgrounds in both corporate and stand-up comedy, which lead them to their mission, which is to create a company that can build custom interactive improv based training sessions that gets employees interested, engaged, and out of their seats, or now interacting via Zoom, as we're going to be doing today. Today, they're going to be sharing how to get those folks engaged with a few of their improv-based activities and techniques, walk through how to use the critical thinking, active listening, and other communication tools that improv brings to help build on employee strengths and empower them in the global, multi-generational, diverse, and ever-changing marketplace. So be prepared to have a lot of fun today. Be prepared to jump in. And with that, I am going to turn it over to background noise. And then after background noise, we're going to turn it over to Helene, Tracy, and Chip. So
it sounded like the eagle had landed.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much. Helene Angley here from Productively Funny, co-CEO. And I just want to first start off with saying thank you to Ken and Alex and Oliver as well, trying to set us up here on doing this virtual. We were supposed to be with you at your Princeton meeting. I think it was June 9th. So this was a nice opportunity to see or meet with all of you via Zoom. So thanks very much for ATD, the Mid-New Jersey chapter, for this invite. Again, Helene Angley here from Productively Funny, co-CEO. I'll introduce Tracy, the other CEO, and we also have with us Chip Ambrosio, who is our partner in the company and also our head of communications. So I come with 25 years of working in the pharmaceutical sales environment, and on top of that, 17 years of doing stand-up comedy, and merged with Tracy 3 years ago to build this company. We've worked extensively with as a partner at J&J, doing team building, and but the whole part of it is how to bring improv into the corporate environment. So we take the corporation's pain points, we see what the topic is for discussion, and we build sessions, exercises around that. And so we will be giving an opportunity for a lot of you to volunteer to be part of us today. We'll be doing 3 sessions, 3 exercises, and we'll probably need like maybe 3 to 5 of you to jump in. It'll be brief, it'll be painless, but it will be fun. So I want to thank you for that, and I'll hand it over to Tracy for the next line of intros.
Great, thanks, Helene. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here today. We are thrilled to be here. We are so excited to interact with you. And a little bit about how Productively Funny came about. As Helene said, we all met on the comedy circuit. And being a comedian, people are always asking us about our communication skills. And Helene and I got into a conversation about corporate training, and that a lot of times it's dry, not so much fun, a lot of PowerPoint, boring. So we thought about it and we were like, look, we have the skill of communication. How do we impart that information to people and make it fun and interactive and memorable? And so we came up with improv, which I started my comedy career in. And there's so many fun things about improv where you're getting up, you're interacting. And what we found is that not only are we teaching communications, but people are seeing a different side of people that they work with because of these different improv exercises, and that creates camaraderie and great teamwork. So we've had a lot of fun with it, but you're also learning at the same time. So it's very different from other forms of training, and we're really excited about it. And Chip will tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Chip Ambrosio. Nice to meet you all. Like Helene and Tracy, my background is in stand-up and corporate. I was a communication director at places like Sony, Horizon, Blue Cross Blue Shield, places like that, at the same time having a shadow career as a comedian. So what we do is we kind of taken what we've learned on stage, how to connect with an audience, engage with an audience, get them to listen, blended that with our corporate background, and thought about trainings that we went through when we were employees. The things that were either that you pushed yourself to get through because it was compliance and you had to do it. That was something that was a PowerPoint that was either antiquated, things that you just didn't take away. You crossed it off your list. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to make training fun, engaging. So what we did is we combined comedy and training. So we'll do things like improv speaks to adaptability. Like we're all adapting right now, right? Things that we did live, now sometimes we have to do virtually. So we've done things already where we've either done video or helped people deal with things like isolation when they're working virtually, or motivation, kind of setting boundaries between their work and personal life. And the great thing about improv is that it is in the moment, you're thinking on your feet. We have had sessions where on our break, people have come up to us and said, hey, have you ever done anything about, I remember he said, ever done anything about the guy who's the smartest person in the world, but will not give you any information? And we came back from the break and we actually did that exercise. And that's kind of the beauty of Productively Funny, is it's not cookie cutter. We've talked to you, but we can switch in the moment. And what it does, it's like, it's not lecturing, it's sharing. Basically, we want to get people in the room, tell their stories, connect them, because a lot of times they're disconnected. And a lot of times when you connect people, they talk it out and they can work out their own problems organically. And I think it's always better when you come from that position as opposed to a position of a parental, this is how we do things. And it's fun. They get a few laughs along the way. So I'm going to throw it back to Tracy, who's going to start our first exercise.
Okay, so for the first exercise, so that it's just Chip, Helene, and myself, if you guys would turn off your cameras, that way just the three of us are on. This is called, I'm going to explain it to you, and then we're going to show it to you, and then you're actually going to get a chance to do it, which is really
We're going to do the example, and then we'll have them all back to volunteer.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll be back. You'll be back.
Okay.
What this is a tenet of improv that we use in all of our training. It's the basis of improv. It's the basis of our training, and it should be the basis of your life. Once you import this into your life, you'll find that everything goes much smoother. It's called yes and. Now, when you're in an improv scene, your partner will give you a suggestion, and the key to improv is you always say yes. You never negate their answer. And the reason is because you can't create a scene if someone stops you with a no. Well, this crosses over to business for brainstorming. How many times have someone come to you with an idea and you just, in your mind, you're like, oh, it's not going to work. But instead, we challenge you to say yes and what the and is you build on it. So not only do you say yes, but then you add to their idea, and then soon enough, you're creating a safe space where people feel good about brainstorming and coming to you with ideas, and then you create an atmosphere that fosters creativity, communication, and collaboration, which is great. So the three of us are going to show you an example of how you use yes and in a brainstorming capacity, and then we're going to all come back and you're going to get involved. So, all right, Helene, Chip, and I, here we go. I'm going to start out so they have no idea what I'm going to say, but they're going to yes and me, and we're going to create a great brainstorm. Okay, guys, I have just come up with a fantastic idea. I want to run it by you, see what you think, and get some ideas. I am thinking, in my downtime, I wanted to create a laundromat because I love to do laundry, but that also includes an ice cream shop. What do you think?
Yes, and I love the idea. That would be fantastic. I could do my whites and have vanilla ice cream at the same time.
Yes, and this is going to be perfect for me because I love ice cream and I'm a slob.
Yes, and hopefully you'll get the chocolate sauce on you, and then you'll have to do twice the amount of laundry. Brilliant. I'll be making money hand over fist.
Yes, and I love the idea. Maybe we could actually make like slushies. Could we put a bar in as well?
Yes, and I think putting a bar in with ice cream is going to make me gain 20 more pounds that I just gained for the last 12 weeks.
Excellent. There we go. So it's easy as that. So it's just yes anding. So it's very simplistic, but again, it's the tenet of improv, and it's the tenet of great brainstorming is instead of negating whatever someone says, not only do you accept it, but you add on to it. So we're going to give this a try with everybody. So if everybody could turn their camera on so we can choose who gets to go first. Do we have any volunteers? Any volunteers?
Anybody want to raise their hand? All right, so we have Rosemary.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Peter,
Rosemary.
you look like you want to go. I can see it in your eyes, just so you know. I can see it, Peter. Peter, you're muting. Turn your sound on.
Turn your
I was
sound
trying
on,
to stay
Rosemary.
muted in that whole thing.
And Rosemary, turn your sound on. That would
Okay.
be great.
One
All
more.
right.
I
One
can't
more.
turn my
We got
video
Rich
on, by the way.
This is the easiest one. So if you're reticent, this is the one to go.
Yeah, if you
good.
want to volunteer
I'm glad I'm in early.
Folks,
We have Rich
Rosemary.
I have my
Atkins.
video on.
Peter,
This is Rich
Rosemary, who else
Atkins.
is gonna go? Helene, you'll go. You'll go with them.
Thank you.
Sure. How about John? John Griffin looks like he wants to like participate.
Look at Rich. Rich is waving to us. Rich is totally.
Okay, Rich. Yay.
I have my virtual hand up. You didn't see it.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
okay, perfect. All right, so Peter, Rich, Rosemary, Helene, keep your cameras
Oh
on.
my God.
How about John? I asked John to join in as well.
Where's
Okay.
John?
So maybe
I'm
I
in
could
if you
step
want.
out and John could go.
How
Okay,
many
and
yes
everybody
people
else
do we
is gonna,
have? Huh?
Chip, you're gonna get in this one too.
Okay.
And then everybody else is gonna turn your camera off.
All right, I'm turning my camera off.
Chip, you wanna start them off, or Helene, whoever wants?
Okay, so why don't we set up the sequence, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be, I'll start it off, and then we'll throw it to Helene,
Oh.
and then Peter is 3, John is 4, Rosemary is 5, and am I missing anybody? Rick, right? Rick is 6, okay? Do we get
Rich.
everybody?
Rich.
Rick is 6, right?
Rick.
Rich.
So I'm number 2 and I'm handing it off to who was number 3?
Peter,
You're
right
getting
here.
Peter. All right,
Okay,
Peter.
all good?
Yeah.
And also, do we have a location? Do we have a location where our scene is taking place?
No, you guys are just yes-anding it. So you guys are just great.
We'll run it. We'll throw it to you.
Remember to just say yes and then you build on top of the idea. You can get as crazy as you want to be. There's no wrong answer for yes and.
Okay. I am so excited that we are on a virtual seminar with people we don't know.
Yes, and I love the idea of seeing everyone and how they work in their environment.
Yes, and I think it's wonderful that we can share our ideas and see what people are going to be doing in the near future.
Yes, and I bet people have a lot of secrets that they keep outside of the camera view.
Yes, and I'm so looking forward to discovering what those secrets are.
Rich,
Rick.
Rick,
No, Rich.
Rich.
Oh, Rich.
You might
Rich
have
is
frozen
frozen.
up.
So keep
Rich is
going. Chip, you
All
keep
right,
going.
I'll pick it up. Yes, and what's fabulous about something like this is technology always steps on your toes.
Yes, and I could so use to have an IT person. Could I get an IT person?
Yes, we could have someone come to your house, except they'd have to wear a mask and gloves to get in.
Yes, and there are these wonderful services all over the world where you can put it out for bid. So you can probably get an IT person from Malaysia if you like.
Yes, I wish that IT person from Malaysia could visit us with his mask on.
Rich, would you like to join in?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My whole video just failed. Yes, and bringing someone in from Malaysia to fix our IT would be excellent because then we could have some delicious Malaysian food.
Very good.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah, good job, guys.
That was
Thank you.
fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause. So again, that's the tenet of improv. That's the tenet of any great brainstorming. That's the tenet of really building a cohesive team, again, where there's a safe space where you can come and share ideas. I was watching that. That was so much fun. Everyone got right into the spirit of it and knew exactly what was going on and totally went for it. So that was really fun to watch.
I find this works for me and my sales teams because, you know, for me, they can be they can throw some wild stuff at me. And sometimes I being, you know, in the same position for a while, I know what works and what doesn't work. So before I have to say no, I find if I just say yes first, it does help move things along. So I've always taken this one to heart. This has been
Yeah, and one thing that's fantastic, Colleen, I know you can attest to this, is a lot of times if you go in, you know, with the mindset of, oh, this doesn't work, but then you follow and say yes, and you can come up with some things out of nowhere that are really fantastic that you
like Malaysian food. Who knew?
Like Malaysian food, that was the best. I know, it's like, ooh. Yeah, that was fantastic, but it allows for, again, great collaborative situations that you put yourself and your group in, which is terrific.
And a great thing about Yes And is it's inclusive, because if you've ever been in a meeting and you've thrown out an idea and somebody shot it down right away, you're less likely to throw out another idea. And that's the beauty of it, because when you shut down people's ideas, you kind of shut down creativity and innovation. And also a thing of improv is trust. You have to trust your partner like you have to trust your coworkers. And that's the whole thing. It's like innovation comes from that ability to trust each other, to throw out crazy ideas, because not every idea is going to be great. But if you continue to move that idea along and tweak it, that's where you get innovation. That's where you get new ideas. And that's where you get unstuck.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, we know that when you're doing this and you're saying yes, and inevitably there will be people who are not always on board. There will be people, there's always that person that's like, well, it never worked before. How's it going to work again? So this next exercise is called Fortunately, Unfortunately. And what that does is deals directly with that. So fortunately, unfortunately, there's going to be someone who doesn't go along with your idea. But the key to this exercise is for you to somehow bring them back around, let them be heard, let their voice be heard. Sometimes people just want to be heard, and then they're willing to go along. So how this is going to work is Helene, Chip, and I are going to give the example again, so you guys can turn off your cameras. And what's going to happen is I will say something that starts with fortunately, then the second person is going to go to unfortunately, and it's the job of the third person to bring that conversation back up. So every other person will say fortunately and unfortunately, and you're going to take whatever information you get and you're going to turn it around. Okay. So what's happening? Fortunately, unfortunately. Chip, you want to start this one off? I think you're going to be great at this.
Okay. All right. Fortunately, Helene, Tracy, and I have worked together many, many times, and this should be cake.
Unfortunately, today is the one day that I forgot to take my stomach medication and I'm feeling a little nauseous.
Fortunately, I've had 4 pots of coffee and I am totally up for carrying the whole load. I'm up.
Unfortunately, sometimes when you work together a lot, you get a little stale.
Fortunately, I feel renewed because we're doing this virtually and it feels so brand new and I love technology.
Unfortunately, I'm not feeling any love, and the idea of going back to work with you guys is scaring me, and not just you guys, but everyone. So I'd like to just keep it at Zoom.
Okay, so guys, did you get the idea? Everybody come back, turn your cameras back on. All right, now we all know, like as Tracy said, sometimes you run into people that come up with opposition. And the idea is to push things through, because once you shut things down, projects stop, you lose motivation and things like that. So let's pick some people. How many people do we need, Tracy?
You need at least 3. So Kim looks like she's ready to go. Look at Kim. Oh, okay, we already volunteered.
Okay,
Kim,
great. So we got Kim.
This handsome gentleman that raised his hand, I don't see his name.
We got Kim. Kim, you will be after me. You will be 1, right? Andy? You're going to be 2. Who else do we need? We need 1 more person.
Oh, Juliet. And then we have Jeffrey. You could do 4.
Yeah,
okay.
Do it.
So we'll have, okay. So we got Juliet, and we have, who's the last one, Helene?
We had Juliet.
And Jeffrey Riley.
And
Okay.
Jeffrey.
Okay. So,
Okay, I'm going to turn my camera off then.
Okay, we'll turn our cameras off. Remember, it's fortunately and unfortunately. Chip, give them something out of this world. I think it'll
I got it. Okay, guys. Go. Everybody knows when they're going? Who's my 1? Kim's my
Kim.
1. Sandy's my 2. Jeffrey's my 3. Juliet, you're my 4.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Okay, here we go. Everybody set? Fortunately, we're all going back to work. And as a surprise, in addition to your regular responsibilities, you're also going to be put on the company's Space Force team.
Well, unfortunately, since I've been home for a few months with COVID, I've gained about 100 pounds. I'm not sure I can get out my front door.
Fortunately, I know Debbie Downer, and I can change her mind. So we're gonna be good.
Unfortunately, oh, sorry, you go. That's right.
Unfortunately, my door has been replaced recently, and I don't have keys.
Fortunately, I love the idea of floating in space, so I'm all for it.
Well, there you go.
Unfortunately, I'm a severe asthmatic, and zero gravity scares me.
Well, fortunately, there's been some research about just to take a pill and all your fears go away.
Unfortunately, I'm confused by all these wonderful ideas, but I think any of them could work.
You're fortunately, Jeffrey.
Unfortunately, okay.
You're good. You're good.
Fortunately, I have a really good memory, and I can just hang on to this.
Unfortunately, this whole COVID situation makes me feel claustrophobic, and being in a space shuttle would just make me even more anxious.
Fortunately, I think I've met 4 people that I would love to go to space with.
Yes, fantastic. That was fantastic. Chip, what did you think? Everybody was in such agreement.
So guys, what was your reaction to participating in that? How did you feel? Kim, what was your experience? Were you?
Kim seems very knowledgeable. Let me
You
just
seem
tell you
very,
what.
very at ease with
Kim
that.
could sell ice to it. I could see that.
I mean, the idea is to actually flip, right? So when somebody comes to you and, you know, is that person in the office or something like that, the idea is to take whatever they're, you know, and try to flip it. So Kim, were you guys feeling, you know, that process?
I love the spirit. I love the interest and passion for making something work, as well as working well together. I love all the varied ideas. I'm curious, in the real world, at what point do we end the dialogue, excuse me, and then begin kind of a realistic perspective?
True.
Right. Well, what happens sometimes is sometimes we give abstract examples for you to work through the exercise, because we've had people tell us that when it's too close to an actual work experience, people become antsy and they worry about things that are said. So that's why we kind of pull it away from that.
Right.
But I'm sure we've all been in a situation, and we've been in rooms with people where you're going to start a project and you know who the negative person always is, right? We have those people in business. So the idea is not to go in with that preconceived notion that this person is going to shut us down and then just give into that impulse, but to try to find a way to push past it. So yes, Anne sets that foundation of I'm not going to deny, but this is kind of a real world experience where we know everything's not always sunshine and rainbows, that there's going to be people like this. So we have to come up with a mechanism on how to flip it and change it. And
Right. So the exercise allows us to just gain that mindset of learning a skill. And so to your point, if someone was to say that to you, you could just say, well, fortunately, and then you could continue with the dialogue, to your point, Sandy.
What's great about this is the attitude change and the willingness to contribute.
That's great. And we appreciate that, Sandy. And to your point, when we would do a full seminar, we do, usually how we do it is we do, to Chip's point, we do something fun and free to get everyone in, and then we drill down to the specific pain points of whatever that company is dealing with. But in the beginning, to Chip's point again, if we go right to what their problem is, a lot of times you just see them clam up, and they don't want to say the wrong thing or be misconstrued one way or the other. So if it's just funny and fun, in the beginning, you know, and also the important part, Sandy, too, is we want people to see a different side of people that they work with, because as you know, once you go through a fun experience with someone, it creates the camaraderie that you can't normally get from just everyday.
And in person, you can have this dialogue after your favorite beverage.
Exactly. I like the way
Another great improv idea. I like that.
Yes. And what type of alcohol will you be bringing, Sandy?
Whatever
And
you
Jeffrey,
like.
did you want to say something, Jeffrey? I saw you raise your hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say this also helps the idea that most people don't really listen to a conversation. They're thinking about what they want to say. And this really helps you listen, because to be part of it, you've got to know the thread. And remember, if you're fortunate or unfortunate.
Right.
Exactly. It does really promote active listening. And most importantly, this one, what we find is that people, a lot of times, as I said in the beginning, even if they have a negative attitude coming in, sometimes they just want to be heard. And if they can be turned, if you just hear them out and then you speak to what they're,
excuse me.
The worst thing you could do is dismiss someone and say no and shut them down. They're not going to participate. But if you even take their negativity and turn it, allow them to see it, sometimes they will turn with you, you know, so at least you have that option.
Yeah, and also it's your own mindset, because if you go in there with the knowledge that you know somebody who's traditionally been negative and you just accept that, it kind of dominoes and snowballs. That kills motivation. That kills teamwork. So at least if you throw the fortunately back at the unfortunately, you're moving it into a better place where at least you can try to come up with different ways to get what you need done.
Yeah.
To say it another.
Oh, so go ahead.
I was thinking that was the hardest part for me. It was like, I didn't remember which one I was going to be, but if I pick something and I look at it from both sides, I could do it either way. That was something like a mental puzzle.
That's fantastic. It allows you to see someone else's point of view, which is exactly what this is about.
Chip, you made me think about how even if we know there's a pattern with a particular person of coming from a negative point of view, if we put them in a box that they're going to be negative, we've already started to trigger a negative set of associations and expectations. So there's a way in which if we meet them on that plane, we engage them in the same level, in the same way. And
yes,
so
and is a tool to move them out of that box, or fortunately, you know, it's just a tool that we're trying to, you know, have people become comfortable with using. Yeah.
That's exactly right, John. That's exactly what.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And John, one of the things that we hear a lot when we do the seminars is the way people look at groups. Like they'll say, "Oh God, if I have to deal with legal, this is never going to happen." They go in with that attitude, the defeatist attitude, instead of saying, and a lot of times the other group that we hear is procurement. They're like, if I got to deal with procurement, I'm
never getting those pencils. Really?
Just get a sharpener. You don't need a new pencil.
There you go.
From procurement, of course.
Well, we have time for one more. So Tracy, you want to give us an example of what we're going to do?
So yeah, we're going to do this one. So Helene, Chip, and I are going to do this. But what I want to tell you is you don't have to worry about your cameras, because for this one, you'll all be involved. Everyone will be involved. We're going to show you the example. So this is taking yes and taking fortunately, unfortunately to the next level. This is more complex. So this is called too many chefs in the kitchen. I know you all know this feeling as we're speaking. When you go into a meeting and there's someone that's always going to push their agenda, no matter what the meeting is about, they're going to figure out a way to either push their agenda, or there's people always vying to be in control of the meeting if there's no set control. So what this is called, too many chefs in the kitchen, we're going to put you in a scenario. You have no idea what it's going to be, but as a team, you have to actively listen to each other, because you've got to create a beginning, middle, and end to the scene that makes sense And your dialogue must be in alphabetical order. So we're engaging your brain in that. So what that means is the first person starts with A, B, C, we go all the way through the alphabet. But remember, not only are you worrying about your dialogue being in alphabetical order, but it has to make sense. So you have to pay attention to what the person in front of you is saying and the person after you, because we want it to be a cohesive thought. Also, you're going to be put in a scenario that you have no idea about, and we're doing that on purpose. So we're going to give you an example. So Chip, Helene, and I will, everyone can turn their cameras off just for a second. We'll show you the first one. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to be. Helene, I think we should be in Paris. I love Paris. So let's be French.
Okay.
Let's be French chefs.
Okay, French chefs.
Something,
Ooh la la.
yeah, something crazy is happening in the kitchen. What could it be?
There's a dog loose in the kitchen.
A dog loose in the kitchen, exactly. Okay. Another thing, Chip, what do we have to get done, Chip? There's a dog loose in the kitchen and we have to get what done?
You have to make snails for 100 people.
Oh, escargot for 100 people.
Escargot,
Okay,
if you're more classy.
I'm going to start it off. Helene will be second and Chip. We're just going to do a partial part of the alphabet, but I just want to give everyone an idea. So
All
remember your dialogue, just the first word in alphabetical order has to make sense. All right, everyone, we have to get these snails together as fast as we can.
But I see there is a dog loose in the kitchen.
Cookie, what kind of a name is that for a dog?
Don't worry about the dogs. The dog is taking the snails and putting them on the floor.
Everybody needs to eat. So we need to focus on making the snails.
For now, why can't we just feed the snails to the dog? Because who wants to eat snails?
Good idea. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now you see it. And we're going through the whole alphabet, but we are trying to take the other person's idea. We're building on it with the yes and, but we don't have to say yes and. We're just taking that idea of having an open mind, active listening, and group think. So again, no preconceived notions. So Ken, I have a question for you. What is your favorite food? Any food in the world?
Pizza.
Pizza. Okay, so you guys are Italian chefs. Italian chefs in an Italian kitchen. Jeffrey, there's some kind of crazy thing happening in the kitchen. What could it be? It could be anything. The nuttier, the better.
No toppings.
There's no toppings in an Italian kitchen. You have nothing. Rosemary, what else could be happening in the kitchen? Something else is happening besides the no toppings.
The utensils are not clean.
Good. Utensils are not clean. You have no toppings. And I'm going to add one more thing. There may or may not be an alien invasion happening outside. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out who goes where. How are we going to do that, Chip?
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to go Tracy, Helene.
Two. I'm number 2. Okay, Tracy, Helene. I have to remember who's in front of me. So Tracy, you're in front of me.
Let's go,
You'll
Tracy.
be handing me a letter.
Helene. I'll sit this one out.
Okay.
Peter, number 3. Okay.
And I'll be handing it to Peter.
Okay. Ken, number 4. Kelpania, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Okay.
Number 5. Sandy, number 6. Jeffrey, number 7. Rosemary, number 8. Kim, number 9. Juliet, number 10.
Okay.
Okay, is that good?
Okay.
All right.
You kind of have to remember who's handing it
I think
off.
it's just as that's how I'm seeing it. I see.
Yeah,
it
me too. I'm seeing it that way.
So we're
Okay.
perfect. Okay, so remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are Italian chefs
Okay.
in a kitchen. We have no toppings. We have no clean utensils, and there is an alien invasion happening outside. Okay, you guys ready? All right, I would like to make a pizza. Who brought the pepperoni?
But I don't remember being told I need to make a pepperoni. I don't remember this.
Can we make pizza without pepperoni? How would we do it?
Did you see all of the green people in the restaurant?
Every one of them looks like they're very hungry.
Sandy, you're
Sandy, you're on mute.
Sandy, you're F.
I forgot. But they're all keeping social distance, and we're going to go to the supermarket and get some tomatoes.
G is Jeffrey.
G. Jeffrey's on G. Jeffrey's G.
Great. Let's go now and watch out for those aliens.
Rosemary.
How can we clean those utensils?
Very good.
I'm going to take some dirty utensils to attack those aliens with if they bother me, and when I go out to buy the tomatoes.
Who's on the ball? H-I-J. Juliet, you're J.
J.
You have to start your sentence with J. You have to start your sentence with J.
Jewelry on those aliens look great with the pizza.
Keep your mind on the pizza. I know we have the aliens, but if they're wearing jewelry, maybe we could take the jewelry and put it on the topping for the pizza.
I love this idea. I love it.
Maybe we could sell it and make some extra money as toppings.
Oh, toppings is no pizza.
Oh, no pizza?
I'm so
Sandy,
confused.
You're on P, Sandy.
You're on P, Sandy.
I'm on what?
P.
You're on P. The letter P. You have to start your sentence with the
Oh,
letter
I'm sorry. Please, let's get clear on what we need to do here.
Question is, we got cheese, but we really need pepperoni, and we've got these dirty utensils. Where do we go?
Rosemary R.
Rosemary will clean all the utensils.
That was the easy way out.
Sure, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Um,
Juliet T.
they're outside, so let's steal their rocket and leave the planet.
And a usually good idea. That's a really good idea. Then we don't have to worry about no pizza, no hat.
I'm very excited to get out of here, and I think the rocket and leave them with dirty utensils and pizza with just marinara.
Well, it's about time we all got on the rocket ship and left.
Why now? Why now?
Wait, WX. You're on X. then.
X? Oh, I thought I was.
You got the
I don't know the
You got
alphabet.
the X.
That's a
Let's
tough
put you on
one.
the spot. Can you do X word? X word.
Xavier, what are you doing with all of the toppings?
You're Kapali, you're Y.
Yes, I would love to go on that rocket.
Here we go, Sandy. You're
Sandy, wrap it up for us.
Stay home, Sandy. Oh boy.
All those Z words.
This is zebra. What's that doing here?
Terrific.
So we do this with, sometimes we break people up into teams, and
Right.
those people that are not participating, they act as the judges, and there's a buzzer when you miss, and we eliminate people. It
Yeah.
becomes faster and faster, but
For the sake of Zoom and moving this today, so anyway, thank you, everybody. As you can see, it was really a lot of active listening. You know, to understand and the dialogue, you had to have a beginning, a middle, and end. It was kind of trying to move the story along, and it focuses on some brainstorming and allowing to pivot during a conversation, things like that. So again, when we do this live or with Zoom and our customers, you know, we basically keep it to a smaller group that really moves it faster, that people have to really focus on the active listening.
Yeah, and you really get to see the teamwork and everyone gel right in front of your eyes. And it's so fun when you see someone save someone else. If they say something funny or completely off, the next person will bring it back. And it's really important that you utilize all the steps to just work as a team. And you see like, again, the whole point of improv is that when you're on stage, you're there to make your teammate look better. It's not about trying to be the funny one. It's about trying to be the one in the scene that makes the scene go and gel and be cohesive. So that's why it lends so greatly to team building. It's because it's all about making someone else look good. And that's why these are so much fun, because you see people come out of the woodwork and really show parts of their personality, and you see them help each other create a beginning, middle, and end, and have a lot of fun while they're doing it. So you guys did a fantastic job on that. Really nice. Really great.
Many times we can be on a project call with like, I don't know, 50, 100 people. And what happens is a lot of times we kind of zone out and we only listen to our piece of the pie, right? Because you're like, how many times have, you know, I've been through this project, we're going through it, we're going through like our sprints and what's been done and things like that. But if you are actively engaged like you guys were, because you have to listen to what comes before so that you can contribute, and to kind of build that skill of trying to see the 360 of what's going on, it kind of allows you to see what everybody's doing and maybe how you can streamline process rather than just focusing on your little piece of the project. By seeing everything, you can improve things, you can collaborate better, maybe speed delivery. And these are some of the kind of things that we kind of bring back to business with this exercise.
And again, in our actual seminars, we always have a debrief of each exercise and how they relate to whatever business we're discussing. So it's not just pie in the sky. We actually bring everything back, and we always have a justification on how the communication helps.
I really liked the comment from Ken, was that most people listen but are just listening for their moment to speak. They're not really listening to understand. So this is really why we are brought into corporations, is to try to get teams, instead of having their own set agendas, is to actually work as a team. So that's really why we've been so busy. It seems really naive, but it's this basic teamwork to have people really listen again.
Yeah, and also to that point, what you were saying, Helene, a lot of times we hear about working in silos. People are so tired of no one understanding what their particular job does and how that works within the process. And this allows to bring everyone in and see different personality types and take them all and have them work together and understand, not only listen, but understand, you know, how they can work with each other better.
It's an anti-multitasking method also.
Exactly right, John. That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's
So
very true.
It's about presence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to make sure we solicit some questions here, so you can throw them into chat or get ready to jump in. I'm going to start our presenters with a question too, and we sort of touched on this a bit. So I think there's some initial resistance that one might get to doing something that's a little more off the wall, right? So maybe how do you address that? And then also particularly, how do you make the pivot? This kind of goes to a question that Sandy had raised earlier about like, well, all right, isn't this kind of off the beaten track here? If you could talk a little bit about how you pivot from the fun, you know, the creative, the kind of wild stuff to bring it to more practical, more realistic, and kind of maintain the spirit of what you've done earlier when you're actually dealing with the real life problems.
After every exercise that we do, we actually do a little debriefing. And, you know, believe it or not, we just probe right in, you know, at that point, and we kind of raise an issue that, you know, we know in the background of the manager who's hired us of what the real issue is, with the real crux that they want us to get to. So Tracy and Chip and the three of us will kind of find our way of asking that. And believe it or not, they've been very forthcoming. So it's not that hard to actually get people to talk about their own problems. So,
yeah. Also, there's one exercise we didn't do here. It's called Emotions on a Park Bench, where basically people sit on a park bench, they change emotion. So we did that one time actually it was for emerging leaders at J&J. And so then after that, we throw out a question. It's like, have you ever felt, or have you ever been told that you weren't empathetic, right? So then they'll respond to that. And then we'll bring in things like one of the big complaints with employees is, say, during a performance review, when they get canned feedback to what they've done. And there's no empathy in that. And it's hard to get people to buy into like a paper performance philosophy when you're really not being honest or empathetic with them. And we threw that out to the leaders. And what usually happens is the way this is set up, we let them tell their own story. So basically they share where that kind of connects with them. And usually they're throwing in business scenarios, which kind of helps us lead to focus on what their challenges and pain points are. So it's kind of using that abstract idea to drill down to what their challenge is in business.
Good, and I think that kind of actually hits the question that Peter had, which is this, the goal of this just improving group communications, or is this about solving problems? And it sounds like that's really a bit both. And John had a question, are your clients keeping you busy during COVID?
We had a lot of sessions booked, unfortunately. We had a lot of sessions booked, but unfortunately COVID hit. And so fortunately, they have rebooked us for the fall, but nothing via Zoom.
Which is what we are doing right now is how do we take what everyone's dealing with, the new technology, how do you take what you're doing and create it in a virtual world so that it actually works and people are interested in it, and how can we do that? And that has been the challenge. But we found that we are able to translate several exercises. Obviously, it's more exciting when we are there in person, but we can absolutely do it virtually and get a lot of really great.
Fortunately, we built these virtually. We built these and about 3 others that could really work via Zoom. There's some that just are too complicated. You really need to be engaged. But yeah, fortunately, we built like 5, 6 sessions. Yeah.
Right. And a side project off of Productively Funny was, did have a client in Canada who wanted to address the issue of a virtual workplace because he felt like their employees were disconnected. They weren't motivated. They didn't know when to work and when not to work. So we put together 4 videos for them via Zoom, hitting on things like isolation, setting boundaries, proper teamwork, motivation, even mental health, because people are really feeling the strain about being disconnected from the world and their teammates or coworkers.
Actually, Tracy, you and I'm sorry, we forgot. We did the match game, which was with a client that wanted to do a match game. So that game that's on TV now, it's an old game from the 70s, but they redid it. And so we did match game and we took the corporate questions, what was one of them was like, I'm so tired of someone always, putting blank in the microwave. And they all had to fill in questions, and someone of course put fish up, and this is like this huge problem, I guess, in corporations. There's always somebody who wants to microwave fish during their lunch hour. And it was just, and they talked about it and they remembered, and it was fun to see the team building happen virtually. I forgot we did that like way back, right when it first went to lockdown. So we actually have the match game that that was really fun, actually.
Yeah, and that one is really fun. That one's again, just about having a lot of fun, seeing a different side of people that you don't normally get to see. As we were talking about at the top of this, is now on Zoom and virtual, you're getting to see inside people's homes and how they are on Zoom. And Zoom, we even did a video about Zoom etiquette, because a lot of people forget that they're on camera during the meeting. And we talked about the crazy things that happen and people do and don't do on camera. Right. So there's a lot of new things to get acclimated to, and the virtual world is a new world, and that's what we're all.
I have my dad, and he's 90, and he likes to talk to me like this. So there's Zoom etiquette.
Another video.
And I've got a colleague who was going over some of his rules for virtual sessions, and one of his rules was that participants needed to wear shirts. Which blew my mind, but apparently he was doing a lot of one-on-one certification training, and apparently people.
Yes, and did he ask him that it had to be a real shirt and not pajamas? I'm just asking because I've seen pajamas.
I think he was settling for pajamas. I mean, as opposed to, but no shirt, no shoes, no service, right? I mean,
when the bar is as low as no shirt, pajamas are a big upgrade.
It's stunning what people are showing up as.
I was on a Zoom call last night, and somebody's husband came in the room with no shirt and just jockey shorts, and everyone started laughing. But they were so technologically inept that they didn't even notice on the screen that everyone's laughing at them. It was unfortunate, but it was funny.
I don't know if you saw this, but it was on several social media outlets. Chris Cuomo's wife was doing a yoga session, and he was naked in the background, had no idea that
Right.
and they have the screenshot of him.
I did not see that, thank goodness.
Oh.
But I've done, we've all, Tracy and Chip and I have all done comedy via Zoom. That has been ongoing. A lot of fundraisers wanted to keep that. And so we've done Zoom comedy in my basement. My career is skyrocketing, but I'm just, so again, the Zoom picture, we're seeing people, you know, like, I'm like, get a vacuum. You know, like,
And one of the things that we touched on in one of the videos that we did was, you know, we've all been apart for what, 12 weeks now, and people are starting to come back together. And we've also learned a lot about each other via our virtual meetings and what we've seen on social media and stuff like that. Whatever side of the fence you are on politically or whatever else, you know, you've seen people express themselves. Now you're going to have to go back to work and become a team again, even if you've seen somebody go, I can't believe that guy said that or posted that. That's the kind of thing that we've been doing. We've been trying to put sessions together so that when people come back to work, that we can say, okay, you know, we've got to move forward. We've got to move forward as a team and kind of accept or reject things that we have seen and build our team back up and move forward and talk about ideas, talk about our mission, and kind of reintroduce each other. It's kind of like getting remarried.
Yes, exactly. And one thing we also did another video that we haven't touched on regarding now that some people are coming back, some people are not coming back, but everyone's feelings about coming back. So not everyone is physically ready to come back, nor do they want someone coming into their office who is not interested in wearing a mask or anything. So there's so much that needs to be touched on regarding teamwork and bringing people back to work and reacclimating them to dealing with people. You don't realize it, but if you've been I've been quarantined since March 12th, seeing no one.
Yeah.
And then going back and having people come close to me, and it's just, everyone's reacting a different way. And we have to be respectful of that and understand that.
So I see we're at our time, Ken.
Yes, we are. So want to thank our guests today. I want to thank Helene and Tracy and Chip. Let's give them a round of applause.
Give you all a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
And for all of our participation as well. So just a quick note, there's some upcoming chapter events here. We've got Rich McLaughlin is doing a session on the 18th. Our weekly, now bi-weekly webinar is going to go now jump to the 25th, and we've got two topics. Haven't quite decided which is going to go on the 25th, which is going to be there in July, but as soon as we do that, that'll be up on the website. And also we do have a couple of sessions with our Forte partners coming up. So all of those are available on our website. So go to the website, you can register there, and we will see all of you either at one of those events or in 2 weeks here. All right, so thanks, folks.
Check us out at productivelyfunny.com on our website, or you could reach out to Ken, and Ken or Alex, and Ken can get in touch with me if you want any more information. But our sincere thanks for your participation today.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Alex. That went really well, Ken. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ken, thank you. That was really fun. That's a really fun group.